it going, everyone? So, as you can tell from the title of this video, today I am finally filming with the Miata again. And the reason why I don't really upload on the Miata, and I apologize for the noise coming from that right there. The reason I don't upload on the Miata anymore is because, well, no one seems to really watch any of my Miata videos. As you can tell, it's not in the best condition, and it's not really in a state where I really want to put a whole lot of money into it to make it look right. I'd rather spend my money on my other cars. So while this car does look like it needs some love, I can guarantee you that it is still being cared for. I did an oil change on it about a month ago, and I've been doing other things here and there when it's needed. But anyways, I bought this car about a year and a half ago, actually, believe it or not. And in that year and a half, I've just crossed about 10,000 miles on it since I bought it. And in that time, I really haven't done a whole lot. I'm going to talk about that more while I'm driving the car. My initial impressions, I guess you could say, are awesome. I absolutely love this car. It's not the best daily driver, although I do try and use it as a daily driver because I'd rather put miles on this than my other cars. But I do still love to drive it on a daily basis. It doesn't have the power of my Saabs, but it's quite frankly much more fun to drive and go through the gears than my Saabs. I mean, that's what the Miatas are for, right? So with that being said, guys, I'm just gonna jump in the car and talk more about it when I'm in there because I don't like showing this to the public. This is not a very attractive looking car. As I mentioned, I've had this car for a year, put about 10,000 miles on it. In that time, I have done a fair amount of work to it. I actually bought this car. When I bought it about a year and a half ago, it was meant to be my project car. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with it when I bought it, whether it be restore it, turbo it, but I figured regardless for this car, which was $1,000, I mean, can't really go wrong. So I bought it and it did have a problem with overheating. The culprit of that ended up being the fans. I don't know why I don't have the windows up, apologies for that. But the fans, the radiator fans were some garbage aftermarket eBay fans, and I just, they didn't work. They didn't work like they should, so the car would always overheat unless I was driving on the freeway. So after replacing the thermostat, because, you know, obviously figured it was that first, and doing a couple other things, I ended up replacing the radiator as well. It now has a Mishimoto 3-row radiator, which is just about as big of a radiator you can get for this car. It also has Mishimoto fans and Mishimoto radiator hoses. So I paid almost as much as I did for the car for all that, and in a way I regret doing that because at the time of me doing those upgrades, that was before I had bought the Turbo X, and I kind of figured that I would start putting money into this car. But, you know, things don't always work out. Not a big deal. I mean, the car drives absolutely fantastic now. And when I also did that, I also did the water pump and timing belt too. Just certain things have been wrong with it ever since I bought it. Again, $1,000 project car. I wasn't expecting it to be perfect. The radio didn't work. I took that out. I bought it. I didn't buy a new one. I actually found an OEM one for free, and that didn't work. So right now it just kind of has a Bluetooth speaker in place of where the radio should be, and that fits perfectly. I actually kind of like it. Other than that, the only thing I've done is I got 16-inch wheels off of an NB Miata, a second-gen Miata, and threw those on here because I think they look better. And then just regular maintenance. I've done a couple oil changes at this point. More than a few coolant flushes, given, you know, it stranded me once or twice because of the bad fans. But really, in 10,000 miles, it's outside of the cooling issues, which, you know, I don't blame the car for that because those were shoddy aftermarket fans. Those were not, you know, OEM Mazda fans that were just bad. So you can't really blame the car for that one. Oh, I also did replace the top. This top is not perfect, as you can probably tell from the back window, but it was like $75 and it came with the frame too, so I figured it was way better than the one that I got with the car, so I just replaced that. Exterior wise, it really just needs touched up. It doesn't have any dents, it's just scratches, clear coat peeling, etc. And before I forget, one more mod that I did do is I got a sponsorship or a partnership with Autopsy, and they sent me out Jeep headlights, the 7-inch round headlights. If you have an NA Miata, they fit perfectly into these. They're literally just plug and play. They are so bright. I mean, they are stupid bright. And then I put the high beams on. It's like, I don't even need these. Like, the low beams are basically my high beams. It's amazing. But in 10,000 miles, that's all that I've done to it. Most of it was voluntary work. outside of the cooling system, like I said. Nothing else really needed to be done. And this car really isn't a super healthy car. It did have a misfire until recently when I changed the spark plugs. It's just been a tank for me. That's really the best way I can describe it. I mean, I drive this car pretty hard when I do drive it, and it just takes it like a champ. I absolutely love it. Gets better gas mileage than my Turbo X, but because the tank is smaller, I don't get more than 250 miles of tank on this. Me being 6 feet tall, as you can see, it is a little bit tight in here, but I do fit in here well enough that I don't really have any complaints. My head's not banging against the top. I feel like I'm in a good, comfortable seating position. The seats are fairly comfortable. The thing that draws so many people, including myself, to Miatas is they're so cheap, they're so fun to drive, there's so many different things that you can do with these cars. You can keep them stock and just have a nice, good weekend or daily driver that's going to be reliable for you. You can decide to modify it. You can do a drift car, turbo, motor swap. You can do so many. There's just so many things that you can do with these cars, with the Miata, that, you know, it appeals to so many different crowds, I guess you could say. You can turn it into a show car. There's just a ton of different possibilities that you have with these. One thing that I like to do every time I make a U-turn, of course when it's safe, is give it a little bit of gas and break the back end loose. And, you know, not having traction control in this car makes that very possible if you're not careful. Granted, only 128 horsepower, you know, I can't gun it in second gear right now and do anything with the tires. I can't even gun it in first gear and spin the tires unless I'm, you know, really careful with it. I mean, this car does have good tires on it. But another thing that really draws so many enthusiasts and people to this car, outside of what I've already mentioned, is just how raw of a driving experience you get. You don't get traction control with these early Miatas. You don't really get, you know, things like AC were optional. It's amazing like how little options these things came with from factory. Just how raw of a driving experience you get just from driving. I mean, sure, there's tons of wind noise, and that's why I'm trying to keep my speed down here so that way the audio doesn't get too ruined. But yeah, there's wind noise. Yeah, you know, the suspension isn't the best. I mean, it's more of a sportier suspension, right? So you're not going to expect the best ride quality out of it. But let me tell you, downshifting, it's so fun. It's just so fun. This 5-speed transmission, the throws are so short from factory. I'm gunning it right now, 4,000, 5, 6. Finally hit red line there. It's not fast, and anyone who knows Miatas knows that they're not fast. And, you know, you shouldn't buy a Miata expecting them to be fast. You know, you can build your own turbo kit for probably $2,000 or less. I wouldn't be surprised if people have done it for under $1,000, but if you go online, you get a genuine, like, really good flying Miata turbo kit. You can get that for $3 to $5 grand easily, and you can be making double the power, and then this thing is actually a quick car. So I mean, you think about it, if I were to have gone that route, I paid $1,000 for this car. If you're getting a Miata that's been fairly beat, I mean, I got a good price on this. It only has, at 122,000 miles when I bought it, it now has about 132,000. So a lot of Miatas are going to have higher mileage than this one. But if you are getting one that's been, you know, neglected a little bit, maybe like this one, and, you know, you're looking at like $2,000, maybe if you want a nicer one, probably 3 to 4, depending on mileage. Let's say you snag an NA Miata for $2 grand, and you spend $5,000 on a turbo kit, suspension, wheels and tires probably, you know, whatever else that you would want. By the end of that, you've got a car that is probably not worth any more than what you've put into it. But it's a car that's going to be not very quick. You're going to get a car that's quick for that amount of money that you've put into it. It's going to be incredibly fun to drive. Once you drive a Miata and once you own one, you understand the appeal to it. And I absolutely love this car. There might come a time soon in the near future where I am going to have to sell it as I plan to buy a house. I'll need the money all the money I can get for a down payment. So this car is unfortunately the least favorite out of my two Saabs in this. But if I didn't have to sell it, I wouldn't. Let me put it that way. But would I recommend a Miata? Hell yeah, I would. Even these cars that I've been beaten on, I mean, I think a lot of them out there are still reliable. At the end of the day, the big thing is maintenance. You just keep up on maintenance. That's huge for any car. Miata's no exception, but I definitely think that Miatas are worth it. I haven't really heard of many people buying a Miata and regretting it. I mean, it's just, if you want it, if you're a young teenager, you're in high school, you want a good first fun car, and you know your parents are only giving you a certain amount of money to really look at something, or you just got your job and you only have a certain amount of money, this is certainly something you should definitely consider. It's not going to be the fastest thing that you can buy for two or three grand, but all around, if you're looking for something that's fun to drive, stick shift. So for my normal subscribers who are watching this video, let me know down below in the comments, would you like to see more Miata videos? Because if you would, I will find stuff to make videos on for this, because I haven't really done much with this car on the channel, and like I said, that's because the low amount of views that it gets when I do upload something. With that being said, that's it for today, guys. If you would like to see more Miata videos, let me know down below in the comments and give this video a big thumbs up. I'll see y'all next time. Oh, before I forget, there's a McLaren going by. Woohoo! 650S.
Check your body.